Hi, how you doing? I hope you are well. Welcome to Sunday on the Cake Stuff channel. I hope you are all doing fabulous. Hi there. Hi Melanie, how are you doing? Arpita, we've got Sally, Anne, Lisa, Zahida, how are you all doing? I may have seen you a couple of minutes ago on my own page where I let you know about this lesson. So I hope you are all going to enjoy this. We are going to be doing a lovely stencil technique, funnily enough. So welcome everybody. My name's Suzanne Esper, for anyone that doesn't know this face. And I'm an ambassador for Cake Stuff. And I'm going to be teaching you today to do some really, really simple techniques on cookies. You can actually translate this to cupcakes. However, I'm not doing cupcakes today. I'm just going to be working with the flat end of a cookie. And anything that I do, you can actually turn into a lovely, beautiful cupcake topper. So let's see who else we've got. Hi Anna, how are you doing? Hi Christine. Hi Carol. It says on countdown. Oh, hopefully we're off the countdown now. Hi Fiona, how are you doing? Hi Pura and Joanne and Selena. Hi there. Lots of lovely students of mine coming in, so thank you so much. We've got Julie and Angela as well, Lagia as well, and Bev. So I had a very lovely influx of lots of students into my free community group. So I'm seeing some names coming through here. So thank you so much for coming along and watching this tutorial on cake stuff. Hope you're going to enjoy this. And yeah, hopefully, actually, I think I've just remembered I forgot to do something. However, I will run out and I'll go and do it and I'll come back in a second, but we'll get you started here anyhow. Um, Teresa said that was a quick change. Yes, it was, because literally when it hit the half-minute mark to we went live, I realised I still had my normal clothes on, so I had to quickly run out of the view of the camera, strip off, fling on the cake stuff jacket, and here I am. So yeah, and I've dropped loads of things on the floor, tripping over things, getting my jacket. So at least I'm here and I'm wearing the right clothes. So thank you so much for joining me. Oh, Carol says yes, she's now live. Thank you so much. Okay, so as I say, it's going to be quite simple techniques. I'm just going to move this over a little bit. Doesn't matter your level. You can be a beginner right through to advanced. However you want to do these cookies is up to yourself. You can go really super delicate and lots of time and effort placed on the flowers, or you can do what I'm going to do, which is using a lot of. Remember when we first started cake decorating and we'd buy all the tools, everything that was PME, everything, every little blossom cutter, plunger, whatever. I'm going to go back to old school and I'm going to show you how to just jazz up some cookies using some simple things that you probably already got in your toolkit. So I'm sure you'll have these cutters and little cutesy veiners as well. These are incredible if you're ever going to think about holding cupcake classes for children. I used to run cupcake classes myself for lots of kids and adults alike, and I used to use all this stuff. So it's getting its rerun again. So everybody else will probably know me from my more delicate sugar flowers, like all the ones behind me here. We are not going to do that on on these cookies because time is of the essence. And when you're making cookies, you don't want to be spending a couple of hours on one cookie. Yes, you can do that, and that's complete art. However, if you're just going to give it for some teacher gifts or like these ones that I've got here, which I'll show you in a minute, which would be perfect for weddings, you cannot spend hours on these. It wouldn't be profitable in the slightest. So I'm going to show you all the ways that you can basically not cut corners, because that's not what we do. We're just going to speed up the process, but in an easy to manage way. So hi Jill, how are you doing? And Sue, hi Mary. Mary says hello, signed up for the peony. Hopefully I'll get to your other courses when finances are better. You are welcome anytime. I'm going to be posting a link in the group, or Cameron will be posting a link in the group. If anyone hasn't signed up for the free peony tutorial, a couple of weeks ago I did a demo in here. It was fabulous. I didn't manage to show it all, so what I did was I went away, took a wee while right enough, and I recorded a full length tutorial of how to do these peonies. Actually, they're across the desk. How to make these peonies and all the leaves, the calyx, foliage as well. I've actually recorded this for you, and you can get your hands on it. The link will go into the group at some point. I'll talk about it at the end as well. And you will get invited to another live, so that I'm going to do, I'll probably pick some other colours this time round, and you'll see all the pieces. So that's going on in my own free community group. You'll get that when you sign up, but it's completely free. There's no charge at all. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to test out how my night schools work. So those are my sugar flower night schools, and you get everything for life basically. So I hope you're going to enjoy that. Right, okay, so I'm just going to go from above just so you can see these. I did actually pop into my group a minute ago just to let you know what I was going to be doing. So these are just simple sugar cookies, okay? Like this is actually, that one's not stuck down, so if I move this off, this is sugar cookies. You can just basically use any recipe. Like, we're looking for one that's a non-spreader, one that's going to hold its shape, one that will be made with butter that you can put in the fridge to cool down. You roll out, you put them back in the fridge again, and then you bake, and it stops them spreading around. Now, the recipe I've used is quite a famous one actually. It's from a lady called Peggy Portion. I'm not sure if it's her original recipe or not, but it's incredible and it's my go-to. So if you just type in Peggy Portion sugar cookie recipe into Google, you will get all the list of ingredients and how to do these. They're really, really simple. These are not your American cookies where you bite in and they're soft in the middle. These are what I call all butter cookies. So they're perfect for times when you are really needing a sugar hit. You can have it with a cup of tea or coffee and it really, really hits the spot. So hopefully you'll try that out. And basically, these last a long time. The cookies themselves, they've got a 21-day sort of window when you keep them in Tupperware boxes at room temperature. If you were doing them for, say, a wedding, like weddings or whatever, you can make these a week weeks in advance actually. You can make the base and then you can just make your fondant tops the week before. As long as you keep these away from dust and in cardboard boxes to keep them from getting anything on them, you could make them a couple of weeks in advance as well. And if I lift this up, you'll see I only made this last night. This is actual fondant, so this is couture. I'm going to show you from the side so that you can see the thickness of it. We are not going thin, okay? So it's got a reasonable, it's about, I would say, 3 to 4 mil thick. Okay, thicker than what you would want it on your cakes. And when you put it on a cookie, if it's white, you'll see that there's a little bit of that colour of the cookie comes through slightly. So the thicker you have it, the more true to the colour it will be. And I'll show you what I mean because I've actually got a spare one of these that I haven't. I'm going to decorate. Oh, I have actually decorated, but I'll do again. It's not on a cookie, but you're going to see the colour change. Maybe. This looks a little bit more greyer. And this one, because it's on the brown, you actually see it a wee bit. So just so you know that from the start that sometimes things change. So I'm going to show you how to stencil using Meadow Breeze. So this is my stencil. This one's on Cake Stuff just now as well. This is one of my favourites. It's actually, it's this way. I love this one. You'll notice that in the cakes behind me and a lot of my Instagram photographs, you'll see I've got several cakes with several versions of this one. I've also got this other Meadow Breeze stencil as well, which is a full one. So I'm going to demonstrate this on some grey fondant so it jumps out for you. And this one here, I'm going to show you how I put together my cookies. And I used the elements, the single elements here on the stencil here for this cookie here. This was one on the actual cookie, the stencil, but this one is these bigger leaves here, which we are going to embellish as well. As I say, we're going old school. We're going back to the plungers. Nothing wrong with them. There's no shame in them at all. They're absolutely perfect for the job we're going to do. So first thing I'm going to do is just move this out the way, okay? And I'm going to get over my rolled out fondant. So this, I've slightly coloured upgrade. So I put it between 2 sheets of acrylic board, just so that it didn't dry out while I was talking to you. But the first thing I've got to do is make sure it's going to come off. So I need to get some icing sugar down on this to make sure it doesn't stick, because you don't want to do all the work and then realise that it's stuck like glue. There is no need for that at all. Right, okay, so first thing I thought I would do is I would actually, I've got some other colours as well. What I'm going to do is just show you how to use a stencil. Say you're using a full pattern. Now, of course, it doesn't have to be my stencils. You can use any stencils you like. You can use lace, you can use any of the pattern stuff. It all works. Everything I'm going to show you today works perfect. First of all, what I'm going to do is grab my rolling pin and I'm going to just roll over the surface of this just to make sure that it's got a good connection with the stencil. I'm not adding tricks or anything. I'm more or less just keeping this really nice and flat so that when I go across with my scraper, I'm not going to damage it. Now, what did I do with my scraper? Right, I need to just grab a spatula just for 2 seconds. It's always the way. You think you're organised and then you realise everything's across the other side of the room. Okay, I've got a little scraper here. Right, I've got some royal icing I've already made up. So I like to keep them in these pots. These are the eleganza pots which I recycle. So I made this up last night. So if I'll just come back to the front just now. If you didn't see one of my tutorials on here before, I'll show you that it's just Squire's Kitchen powdered royal icing that I use. I just follow the instructions in the pack. I tend to make up 500g batches of it, but that's when I'm doing like big cakes, and I'm not doing big cakes. So all I did was I tipped out some into my mixer bowl and very gently added a couple of teaspoons of water at a time until it started to come together. Now what we're looking for is not something that's going to run right off your spatula. I've also added into this, it's on the table somewhere, where would you be? Oh, here. I've added into Super Duper White. So this, oh, turn that volume off. Let me just show you from the side what that looks like. I've got this in the way. So Super Duper White, it's a whitening powder. So it's a powder, it's titanium dioxide basically. And you just need a little bit into your royal icing. It's going to make it white. You can also add things like vinegar and lemon juice, as I was told by one of my friends, Michael Lewis Anderson. He said, like, if you can't get a hold of this, you can use vinegar, but it will make it a little bit wetter. So I like to add in the whitener so that I can see that it's white. One of the things is like, you want this to, if you're doing white on white, you want to be able to see it so that it just jumps out a little bit, and then you can embellish it, do whatever you want. But if you find that when you're stenciling on any colours or any whites and it's a little bit see-through and wishy-washy, you need to add some whitener, and that's going to pack a punch. And also if you're doing any like other colours, put the whitener in there and it'll really come out quite well. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this section. Let me just come from above. Okay, so I've secured it by just rolling over it, and I'm just going to take a scoop of royal icing and just work my way over. Now, of course, we will be cutting out different shapes, and I'm going to show you those in a minute. So I gathered up some of my cookie cutters last night. So I did some squares, I did some hexagons, I also did some circles, and I freehanded some stuff. So I'm going to show you how I freehanded. So I'm just going to put that on, okay, a wee bit more, and then we'll scrape this off. So I'll get some left for later. Okay, so I've got a scraper which I'm just going to hold to the side and just keep it at a sort of, oh, I've taken too much out, 30-degree angle, okay? So it doesn't matter if the royal icing is slightly thick on these, because really, it doesn't matter. We're not working with a cake, okay? We are working on cookies. These are different. So I've got some hard bits in my royal icing, so you need to be careful with that. Okay, I haven't went right to the end, but this will be fine. I've just going to just top that up there. I can see a little grey shadow through there, so I've just been a little bit heavier. I'm just going to go really nice and gentle, like so. Okay, and I'm going to cover over my royal icing again because I've got a terrible habit of forgetting to do that. Okay, and then I'm just going to take this off. Okay, so it leaves a beautiful pattern behind. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that there. So now what we can do is, while it's still wet, we can cut out if we like, or we can leave it to set up a little bit. So this is using grey on the back end. It really is going to make this pop, and this would look super chic for weddings, for anything really. It's such a lovely colour. Okay, so let me grab my cookie cutter over. So I have various shapes. I've got a square, this sort of hexagon, and I've got two different sizes of round. So this one's probably a little bit an overkill size for a cookie. However, if you had quite a bit of decoration, that would be perfect. And then all I do is I try and frame part of the cookie. Like I look for a really nice section, and then that's where I'll cut. So I like that section there. So I'm just going to hover that over. Just going to push that down, give it a little wiggle. I'm going to peel this off around it. Okay, just to loosen it. Okay, and I'll come back to that in a second. Then for the hexagon, try to see what part I like. Go for this guy here. Okay, same again. Just lift it off the paste, just around it. My royal icing is still wet, so if you touch it, you're going to get, you're going to smudge your patterning. And then I'm going to take that one in there. So yes, I've just wasted all this, but you would actually cut economically, and you don't have to use the full stencil at all. So I'm just going to lift this up and away. And it's going to leave my 3 cookies. Okay, well, 3 tops. So this is actually just couture. Let me just show you. Move that to the side. So I haven't got any like special blend. What we're using is 100% couture. So this is perfect for doing these sort of things, especially if you're going to believe in quite a bit of thickness on it. This is brilliant. So it's a great foundation. As I say, I've coloured it up grey. I've also got some other colours on the table to show you some other shades. So I've done like a sort of baby pink. I've also done a blue, and that's just plain white, so that you can see the differences. And what I wanted to do is to bring over my tray here, and I'll show you what I've got in front of me. So this is the baby pink one. It's absolutely a beautiful shade. I'll tell you how I made that in a second. This is my baby blue. These are the sort of off-white grey, and this one's just a little watercolour that I did, which I'll show you. This one is slightly abstract. I wouldn't say it's my favourite, but I can show you how to do that. This is a wee topper that I made, which we're going to decorate these in some different ways. So we're going to do it with gum paste or flour paste, as well as wafer paper, and this wee one here, I only made this about 20 minutes ago, is an actual, it's just lustered and then stenciled on top, and we've just embellished it a little bit. So I'm going to show you just a couple of things. We're not going to get, I'm not doing like a set here, I'm just going to take a couple of different ideas. This one is a luster one. You can see that it was basically like this, but it had the pink behind it, and then I've just lustered over the top with fake cahill. I can't remember what one this was. It was rose quartz. So that's really nice, and this is fake cahill, and it is this is champagne ivory. I had to look underneath. It's a beautiful luster as well. So I will show a variety of things. So we start at the top, okay? I'm just going to move these out the way. Right, so what I'll do is I want to move to a colour that we can actually see what we're doing on. So I'm going to move to the blue. Okay, so this is just couture, and all I mixed in it was a tiny touch of navy pro gel. Okay, you don't need to go nuts. It's like, if you're worried, take a piece off, colour up this, and it can be really strong, and you just take a small piece of it and put it into your fondant. Okay, so I'm just going to roll this one out. You don't need to add tylos or anything to it. As you saw me pick up those other toppers, they're hard and they're not moving. I've got another wee one here that's just totally solid, and that was from last night, and that's just, it is literally just fondant. So you don't need to add any tylos. Okay, so I'll start here. We'll be painting up some of the white ones as well. Okay, so as I say, we don't want to go too thin. So I'm going to leave it at that, but I can feel it's a wee bit sticky, so some ice and sugar down so that our efforts don't go waste. Okay, so let's say we wanted to emulate this one, right? Because I really like this cookie. So this is a giant cookie. I don't actually have a cutter for it. What I did was, let me just grab this. This is a lid from one of the plastic pots. Put it on, and I just gave it a nice little push down so that I have the shape. I'm going to cut that out in a second. What I'll do first is I'm going to stencil one side, then we're going to put a monogram on it as well. Oh, I've just tipped over my little flower there. That's lovely. See, none of these are secured on, just so I could show you a few different things. So monogram, I'm actually using, this is a custom one. But it actually is part of, this one was for the Alexandra stencils that I helped design. So this one's going to go over here. But I also have Alexandra monograms as well. So we're going to jazz up one of these lovely little cookies. This one is going to be E for my little girl Eva. I'm sure she will delight in eating that later. Unfortunately, that was a little bit small for my big circle. If I had wanted to cut out a smaller one, that's a perfect size. And you can do like O and whatever. But I'm going to go for a big A for this one. So you can get lots of monogram sets on the market. You can actually even use the monogram plungers, like so that, or tap it. You can do whatever you want to add a monogram. You don't have to use stencils. Okay, so now I'm going to grab this stencil here. So you see, I'm going to go for this side design. Right, I'm just going to pop that out the way. Okay, so give yourself a little bit of space. I tend to always seem to work in the same spot and everything starts to pile up and it cracks me up. So I'm going to just take that in a little bit because I might end up trimming it down slightly. Okay, again, I'm just going to give that a little roll, nothing too heavy, just enough to semi-hold it down. Okay, I'm grabbing my royal icing and I'm just going to hold this flat. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to be absolutely careful that I don't go over this other little fern. We don't want to do that. And then I'm just going to gently, oh, it's just as well that's on the section I'm going to cut off, or I'd be annoyed at myself. So you have to be super careful. Got a little bit here. There we go. I'm going to just whip this off. Ah, at least it's on that side. That's good. Just ignore that. That'll be gone. Okay, and then so I can go ahead and put the monogram on this side while that's still drying, but you have to be careful. If you're worried about smudging it, don't do it. Just wait until this is dry. And you can use a little thing. This is like a photography lens cleaner, and it's going to help dry the surface of your royal icing if you're in a bit of a rush. Now, let me see, where is that monogram? So because this monogram is like so, it's not going to disturb this. So I need to decide where do I want that A, and let me see, I think I'll have it here. And again, I'm just going to be dead gentle. I'm going to hold that down. Did you see I just shifted it? So if you don't want to be like me and you want to do this properly, make sure this is dry before you go on. But obviously for the interest of a tutorial, I'm just going to crack right on. Okay, tend to live life on the edge, don't I? Okay, and then we need to stay away from this ampersand. So I'm just going to bring this down here. I don't know if you're like me, but I'm not breathing. There we go. That worked out well, thank goodness. Okay, so that is how you would add a wee monogram. And then I'm going to show you something else in a second, which is quite funky actually. But I need to decide if I need this again, because if I need it again, I can't do it. Right, okay, I think I'll just show you. Wait till it's dry. So that is it touch dry just now. Obviously, given that other stencils bigger. What I'm wanting to do is I'm going to put the stencil back on top, but I don't want to do that just now until this is dry. So now I need to cut this. So I'm just going to be using just this little spatula. I'm going to cut in just around the line. I'm free cutting. And then you'll see how badly I cut things. And I've got a terrible, like, little shake in my hand, which means that when I paint and stuff, it's never the best idea. I was always all over the place. So I'm just using my other hand to steady it. Round. I've went off piece there. I need to just cut back in again. Oh. Last bit, I'm in the wrong angle. So normally I would have it on a board that I could turn. There we go. So we've got our lovely round cookie. This is if you're doing one of these giant ones. I actually think that would be perfect for a wedding. I would maybe actually have that A over and up a slight little bit, but that's just my OCD kicking in. So that's basically how we're going to do that. I'm going to move this to the side a second so that it dries slightly so I can go back over and show you this other technique. And then what we're going to do next, right, so now we can do a little bit. Let me just grab some of the white. I need to wrap up the blue. Oh, and cover my royal icing. I'm being very naughty. Right, so I'm going to wrap up this blue, just in case I decide I want it again. And let's see what one we'll go for. Right, just going to go for a little bit of white because I'm going to do a slight watercolour. So we're going to pimp this up with lots of little dredges and little blossoms. And I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put my hand in it, so I'm going to move it. And basically, if you left that flat overnight, it will harden up. You don't have to be worrying about placing it onto cookies right now. Okay, so I'm just going to make up a size here because I'm going to use the square cutter to cut it out. In fact, I'll go for the nice hexagon because I quite like that. Right, so what I have in this little pot is a little bit of dusky pink. So this is sugar flare, this is edible dust, okay? And what I've got in this is actually, let me just grab the bottle, dipping solution. Just so it's easier, it's got a little dropper bottle on it. That means that I'm not chucking out far too much of this into my dishes, which I always do. So again, let me just drop that in there. And I've got a brush. So I've got a brush that I'm going to put on the darker colour, and then I've got another little tub here that does have some alcohol in it, so I'm just going to chuck it out. Don't worry, I'm not going to drink it. I don't really want to go blind. It's all good. But I want to have that cleaner because this is what I was using earlier to test this out on. So I'm just going to have some plain alcohol in here. You can use, you could try it with water, absolutely fine. However, I'm wanting this to dry. So this is why I use a little bit of dipping solution. So it's like a high percentage that just evaporates. So it acts like a carrier. Okay, so I'm just going to go from the bottom. Okay. Bring that up. And then I'm going to grab the clearer one. And I'm just going to bring this up so it goes more watery. I'm only going to be cutting out the base of it, so I probably went a bit overkill. There you go. We've got a little bit of an ombre shading going on. So I'm just going to, basically this is what I'll be cutting out. But before I do that, what I'll do is, just going to dry it. I'm going to stencil it before I do anything. Okay, and the one I'm going to put on it is this cute little guy here, the ferrum. Okay, so make sure it's not stuck. Okay, so I'm going to go for that. Just going roughly in the middle. Okay, I'm holding it down with my finger. I'm going to scrape this off. Now obviously in between you would be cleaning all your tools, whereas I'm not getting a chance. So I've taken off too much. There we go. So that looks good. That's just going to go over the top here. You don't have to waste as much as this. I'm only doing a demo, so therefore I'm all right with that. Okay, and you can use your little spatula to get it up. So basically, if you were finished and that was all you're wanting to do and keep it really nice and simple, you would get yourself some cold boiled water, a pastry brush, and grab your cookie. So I've got a little cookie here. So I'm going to lift up some of that water. I'm going to brush it onto the cookie itself. And if this was dry, I would actually brush a little bit of water on the back of it. So you can dry it or you can go straight on, and that will stick to it, and that is one of your cookies done. So it's really quite cool. So now we can basically pimp that up with some wafer paper, little leaves. We could paint it, we could go for really dark pinks, even though it's a ferrum, doesn't matter. It's whatever's in our imagination. So that's one of the ideas there. So I'm going to pop that aside. Okay, move this away. When you've got things like this, you can actually just mush it up and it's going to give us a lovely pink tone. So this would be a nice marble that you could roll out. Obviously I'll move the water because everybody knows me, I'm super clumsy. So there we have a beautiful marble shade. So what I'll do is go for, so what I like is putting that on there and just taking a random section. So this just shows you what the marble looks like below it. It's quite cool, it's just different things to do. Right, okay. So I'm not too worried about this, I'm only doing a small section. For this one, I'll do a circle. And then I'll be more or less done with that royal icing. Okay, so that looks good. So then let me grab my circle cutter. Go for the small one. Frame it, cut it, and then that goes away. So you're not really wasting anything. You can mush this up. Bear in mind it's got royal icing and it can go a little bit sticky, but you could get another roll out of it as well. So use up what you can. Okay, so I'm just going to put this aside. Okay, one of the things I was going to do was put a little E into this one. Okay, so I haven't stuck these down, I just wanted to show you how we can just change it up with a few simple decorations. So let me find the E. Okay, so I stenciled this one first, let it dry, stenciled the other one, let it dry. So it's completely dry. And this time I'm just going around with a really small scraper, okay? So I'm going to put a little blob of the royal icing on it. I don't want to ruin it now. Go gentle, gentle. Because we can't go over the edges, well, which I've just done, so I'm going to get my hand in there to clean that. Okay, and then so what you can do if you get a little bit of royal icing, that's it. I got it off before it's set, okay? If not, you can get like a craft knife and you can just gently scrape it off and it really helps. Okay, so we've got our E on there. Let me pop that aside. So Eva will be chuffed because she is just like her mother. She's got a sweet tooth like nothing else. So she was already eyeing up the cookies. She was very disappointed this morning that I gave her just like a plain cookie away. They're away today out walking. She wanted the ones with the fondant, and I said, well, you'll have to wait until after this tutorial. Right, okay, so that's that one. So let me put this aside. So now I'm going to show you how to do some of the little embellishments. Okay, so I will grab some flower paste. So I'm just using Squire's Kitchen. You don't need to go fancy for this one. Literally, you want something that's going to harden up really fast. Now, let me just come back to the front. If I was making sugar flowers, I use Squire's Kitchen, but I mix it with ultra fine because I want to create the really delicate look of flowers. However, on a cookie, if you do that, they're just going to shatter. These things will get knocked about a little bit more than what they would do if it was on a cake. So go a little bit thicker than what you would normally do, and they'll be more robust. And you can actually do a few more things with them, so they're not going to just shatter upon looking at them. Alright, so I'm going to just use this. I'm going to take a small piece out. If any of the comments are annoying anyone, you can swipe them off to the left. So Heza says, where did you get your alphabet stencil? So this one was Evil Cake Genius. So the small one is part of my Alexandra Monogram set, and you can get that on Cake Stuff. However, the big one I got custom made by Evil Cake Genius, and it's a really good one. It's a nice size, but there's lots of like stencils on the market, and lots of things you can use to make a monogram. If you can't get a hold of one, you can actually make your own templates. I used to do that in the past. I would print off, that's like an English style text. I would print it off on paper. I'd get a really sharp knife and cut out. So I've done custom cakes for corporate bodies where you've got to cut out a logo. That's exactly what I did, was on like paper, and then I stenciled over the paper, and it worked a treat. Okay, so I'm just got a little piece here. Does the water not make the cookie go soft? No, the cookie's hard. I baked it last night and it's been sitting out, but it doesn't make it go soft. It's really, really nice. Honestly, they're so moreish, it's unreal. So hopefully I won't pick up much of the colour on the table. Okay, so these are for the little flower decorations. And as I said, we are going back old school style. These you will have in your kit. Like, these are one of the first things that I probably bought in my business when I was starting out, even when it wasn't a business and it was a hobby. I bought all the things. So it's good to see that they're getting another turn. But I used to use these on my cookies and on my cupcakes as well. So they're good to have in addition to your normal fancy cutters for flowers. As I say, we aren't going delicate here. If we did, they're just going to shatter. And what's the point of that? Okay, so I've rolled it out really nice and fine. You can see the shadow of my fingers through here. We don't want it too much finer given the nature of the cookies. Okay, so let me just get out some of these cutters. So I love these style ones. You can get these on Cake Stuff. This is a blossom cutter. So I've got all of them. The Petuna one I love, and I'm going to show you a trick with that one. And I quite like this big one, which we're going to use. And we've got the Pee Me plungers. And we're going to use just a Pee Me rose leaf. Don't turn your nose up at this, it's absolutely fine. And I'm going to be using it with a Culprit Rose leaf veiner as well. So all of these you can get on Cake Stuff. So Cameron will post up a link. Let me see. Oh my goodness. So Olivia says, are you planning on doing some string work on the cookies? Not for this lesson. That I'm probably not the best person to show you because my royal icing skills are not there yet. I'm getting there. I'm practicing more and more and more. Okay, so before this dries out, I'm just going to cut out a couple of these to show you how to use them. Okay, so we'll do 2 of each. I know once you've done one, but we are actually going to thin these out as well. And the petunias, there is a little trick you need to know. And I'm going to pop this in my wallet so it doesn't dry. Let me just grab it. So we're going to do some fondant stuff, we're going to do some wafer paper, and hopefully if we've got time, I'll maybe try and do a little bit of painting on it as well. Okay, so let me just grab my petal pad. So you don't want these drying out either, so just put them into your wallet. Just one at a time is good, and then you can speed up. Okay, so we need a ball tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going round to thin out those edges before it goes into the mould. Okay, so this one's actually going on this mould. However, when you sandwich it, it does go slightly larger, but we're going to use a little pair of scissors to trim that down. So Olivia says she'd love to see somebody making them. Well, we will get the challenge out there. As I say, like, I'm good at what I'm good at, and things that I'm not good at, I'll never say I'll be able to do. So I haven't actually done any string work, so I presume I'd be quite rubbish actually at the start. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim this down because it's a little bit OTT. So there we go. So I'm going to pop that there because I'm going to thin out the edges of it. Hi Kelly, how are you doing? And we've got Sue as well. She says, is there our Joe for the cookies? I don't know what you mean there. Is there something for the cookies? A recipe? Do you mean? It's just Peggy Portion's recipe, so it's a really, really good one. You might actually have one of Peggy's books. I seem to have them all. That was Peggy Portion's books were what got me started, like, on cakes in the first place. Like, just so amazing at the time. Really brilliant to have, lots of decent recipes, etc. I'm going to pull this out. But if you just type into Google Peggy Portion cookie recipe, you'll find it. I think it's in The Guardian as well, so you'll be able to find all your bits and pieces. Right, so before I go any further, all I'm going to do is just go around and just thin that out slightly. I know it's a mould, it doesn't matter. It's just what I like to do. And it only takes a few seconds. Don't cut corners here. We're using plunger cutters after all, so this is the least you can do. We are not going like delicate like we would normally do with the sugar flowers. These are literally so that they don't break. Right, and then I've got one of these little paint palettes, and these can just sit in there, and they're going to give it a little bit of shape. Whoops. You can dust it up as well. I'm just going to keep these white for now, just for simplicity. Right, okay, so when it comes to the patina, right, what I like to do is I'm just going to grab some of, so it's a little bit of scrap of my paste. I'm going to take a little bit, and you see how it's got a dip right in the middle here? What happens is, if you just do it normally, I will sacrifice one of them, and wait to see, it'll make me a liar. It pokes a hole in your petal. And of course it has actually made a liar out of me because it hasn't poked it in this one. But it used to poke them, so what I'd do is I'd actually put some paste in the bottom of that, okay? So if you find it does poke a hole, this is exactly how you can combat it. And then thin that one out as well. So the Squire's paste stays a little bit on the thick side. So if I've got a pasta machine, put it through your pasta machine. Probably level 8 will do. And then I'm going to put that down. There we go. Now, there we go. That should be super solid. It shouldn't have a hole in the middle. And it did make me a liar. Right, so these are out the way now. And for the leaf, as I say, I've got some green to roll out. So Nikki says she's got all the Peggy Portions books too, and use her cookie recipe. Is awesome. What you want is to not have a spreadable recipe. So if you use butter, what you do is you chill the dough in the fridge, and you need to leave it for an hour, and then you take it out of the fridge and it's as solid as anything, and then you need to cut out the shapes of your cookies and layer them up on trays and put them back in the fridge for at least half an hour before you bake, and that helps them not to spread. However, if you can't get a hold of Peggy's recipe, just type into Google non-spreading cookie recipe, and you'll find it. And also just try your favourite cookie recipe. The American ones are totally different, so you will find that they're a little bit more chewy in the middle, but this one is hard. I love it. Honestly, I would just face plank them if it wasn't for the fact that I was actually or a bit of a diet. I would have ate some of these last night at 1 o'clock when I was making some of these toppers. Okay, so a couple of quick and easy. I didn't plunge them because I'm going to use the veiner on this. You can use any rose veiner. I just prefer these over the plungers. Okay, I'm going to use this later, so I'm not being stingy putting that away, but I will use it just in case. Right, ball tool these ones. Oh yeah, so there's Bev posted up. I didn't want to give it in case like for copyright stuff, but Bev's posted it up. So that's good. It's yeah, you'll see that in the comments. But it's a fabulous recipe. Oh, that's so nice. Suma says, amazing tutorial, best regards from Tampa, Florida. Oh, thank you. Say hello to one of my friends out there, Giovanna Smith, if you know her. She's from Tampa as well. I know, like, there's me saying, it's like saying somebody's from Glasgow and expecting everybody to know everybody. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll just shut up. Okay, so Amanda says, hello, just watching your amazing tutorial. Amazing talents whilst on the M27, not driving, by the way. I'm glad for that. This is the one point I don't want you to multitask, you know. That's fine. So glad you can enjoy it. So Susan says, hi Stan, you mentioned printing off images on paper for stenciling. Do you use the paper stencil directly on your fondant, or do you lay over onto acetate to recut? Do you know, I just use paper for all it is. And you can actually, what I've done in the past is actually use the cardboard lids of cake boxes, and because it's pretty sturdy as well, and then you know it's food safe. You need to be cutting it out onto something that's going to be like no acid and whatever, and that's what cake boxes are. So use the lid of a cake box. I tend to have lots of them going to go in the bin. So I would then like basically trace over whatever I want to do onto that. So you can either print off something onto normal paper, get parchment paper and trace your diagram or whatever it is, and then go onto the box and do it. Or you can use, I need to think of a light. I've got a table light thing. It's like a desktop little shiny light thing that reflects images out so that I can trace things over. Or if you've got a Pico, which is like a projector, it's called a Pico projector, you can project anything onto your paper and you can basically sketch it out. That's the ways that it's probably the quickest way to do it. But I mean, personally, the paper's fine. And if you're wanting to make something that you want to reuse again, then it's always best to do it in cardboard because the paper just gets chewed up. Okay, so I'm just thinning out the edges of these. These are very stylised. I do agree, but we're not looking for delicate looking things. So all I'm going to do now is grab, I've got some Dimple Foam. It's the world's smallest Dimple Foam, ordered by accident, but it's actually what I'll do. So I prefer the fatter stuff that you get in cake stuff. So I'm just going to pinch the bases of these and just give them a little wiggle, just so I've got some shapes on them. These would go off to dry semi, nothing too heavy because we're going to actually squidge some things together. So, right, okay, they're going to go out the way. These need to go into a little well. Now, what I like to dry in as well is one of these little things. So this is a CK mould. This is it's a half sphere. Now this one's the smallest one. I think, I'll just measure it for you. I was trying to remember from memory, and as I've just turned another year older, I can't remember anything. That's 2 centimetres. So you get these on Cake Stuff, they're fabulous. If you're in America, you'll get them on a variety of websites. They're just called Flower Formers by the brand CK, which is an American brand. And then these are just going to go into these wells here. Just give them a little push, so they're getting a little bit of a shape, but not too bad. Now we've still got to make some of the blossoms, so I'll make some of those. So we've got these, and then we will go ahead and start decorating. And what I'll do is I'll quickly nip out, go and put my kettle on, because I was wanting to do a little bit of cocoa butter painting on these, which my plate is completely dry. So the heat's gone out of that plate long ago. Right, okay, so we need some paste, right? So that's where we've got this already. So the plungers do exactly what they say. However, I'm going to plunge on here, but I'm not going to plunge onto the table. I'm going to grab some foam. Hold up. So remember I said I got the world's smallest dimple tray? Just turn it over. This is the use it's got. And just plunge it in. And again, we are going to thin the edges of this. I'll do a couple. So if you're looking for some advanced tutorial here, this is not it. This is us going back to old school basics here. So just a couple on there. And I've got one more size. These are your classic staple of your show kit from PME. These are just the Blossom ones. Okay, pop that away. Okay, now bring back the petal pad. And I'm just freehanding it, bringing it round there. What I'll do is I'll move that there and I'll give you some side action because I haven't done that for a wee while. There you go, here's the side action. You're just going to give it a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Where's here is the point of focus. Okay, and pop that aside. Another one. So I'm not going ruffle, ruffle. It's just to like thin out the edge slightly. You can make it bigger if you want, but we are going to be popping that into a well in a second, and it's going to shape it completely. So I'm not bothered about. I'll show you two ways to shape it actually if you don't have the half sphere mould. And then the wee guys as well, we need those done too, for sure. So for these ones, I'm just going to go around in a circle and just wiggle that round. So these are great for like decorating up popsicles as well. Anything you want. Little lovely, what do you call them, cake pops too. For the cake pops, I'd go a little bit fancier, like I'd actually give them more movement. Okay, so for these, just bring back that CK former. And I'll keep one where I haven't used this. I'm just going to pop it in there and then use my ball tool just to sandwich that in. So this is perfect size for a ball tool. Keep that one, that's going in there. So I want to have that moulded to the shape because it's going to sit nicer on the cookies and give it more of a 3D effect. Right, okay, and then if you don't have something like this, you can use, obviously, the little tray. But what I like to do is put my ball tool on here and I'm just pushing in. And it's already held it in that position. And you can just lift it up and move it off to the side. So this foam, although it was the wrong thing, actually has come in quite handy. So I'm glad for that. Right, so then the next thing is, these have been sitting here. These are the ones we've made about 10 minutes ago. I can now lift them up and go ahead and start layering up my my toppers. So you don't feel like you have to wait overnight for these sort of things. These can be made and just embellished. If you want to dust them up, I would suggest letting them harden so that you can get your dust in there. These are probably not great for dusting. You can get dust on, but what happens is I find that I'm a little bit heavy-handed. So if you are, mixing a lot of white with your colours first. Okay, so then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how I was going to pimp up this one. Okay, so I've made some little leaves already, so I'll show you how to do those. So I'm looking for the lighter colour. Got a couple of it's very, very subtle shades of green change. So Nikki says I have a tiny storage box to keep the small and teeny ones in while I'm making loads of cupcakes. Oh, so have I just chucked them all in. It's brilliant. Oh, hi Alison, how are you doing? We've got Jenny as well. And Audrey, nice to have you here. And Nikki says she dries our small flowers in the small dimple foam. I do it as well, but I actually prefer the larger one, to be honest. I just feel like I get a better shape, actually. However, I love the back end of it. I can see, what is it you call it, the subtitles. They're very exciting to do. So if anybody's following along in subtitles, I do apologise. God knows it's been said. So I don't know if I missed any comments. So Jenny says, how long can you keep the flower leaves if made ahead of cakes? For a long time. The main thing is you keep them away from dust in small hands. So you keep them in a cardboard box. You can basically keep these for about half a year, I would say. Your fondant's got a shelf life usually of around about 6 months, but that's a best before. It's 100% sugar, really, so they're not going to go off, but you need to keep them dry and dust free. So don't put them in Tupperware because they'll sweat and they'll go back to normal. I would say you want to get ahead of yourself. You can do it a couple of weeks in advance if you wanted. Right, okay, so I'm going to freehand these little thinner ones. I don't have a cutter for these small ones, so I'm trying to emulate what's on this cookie here. So I've got larger ones, going to medium to small. So I'm going to just use a wheel tool. So I'm using the harder side because it's actually going to cut better. And as I say, I'm just freehanding some little teardrop shapes. Okay, don't get hung up on it. It'll be fine. Just cut them out. Get a wee production going, because we are going to ball tool them and it's going to take away the sort of triangular look of a teardroppy shape, and I'm not doing the best job. So you want some large, some small. Okay, so you can crack into this. Okay, and then we're going to just take them off, put them on the pad. Oh, it's warm in here. So what's the weather like where you are here? It is raining outside, but it's very warm in my room. Lots of lights on. Okay, so you need to count out 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So I need 2 large ones. I need to cut another large actually. Oops. 2, 4, 6. Okay, so I can match up the side. This is when I wish I'd actually made a small size like this for my Ruskus cutters. However, I didn't. So freehanding it is. Okay, so then I'll pop this into my wallet just in case I am one short. Ball tool back, and I'm just going to go ahead and just give those a little wiggle down. So we've got a couple more steps to do, which is good. I will run and get the kettle on in a sec, so that I can do some cocoa butter stuff. Let's set it on here. Just thin out your edges. This is a little bit thicker than what it should have been. However, we won't cry. What we'll do instead is we are using this resin tool to just roll that down the middle, to give it a kind of cartoony leaf shape, okay? So I think this looks a different colour from my other ones, it doesn't matter, just a demo. So you would do it all at the same time, so you use the same colours. Okay, and I'm not going to like put lines on it, that's a step too far for me. However, if it was for an order, I have been known to do stuff like that. So I'm just going to line these up. I'll be gluing them on in a wee sec, just so you can see how this is going to start to take shape. I can see how it's going to start to take shape. Just going to make sure I get, so I'll just switch that wee one around. Because what you don't want, if you're going to have this in some cookie packaging, you don't want these to knock off of anything on the next sort of lane. Okay, need some small ones, so I'll put that one there. And then last but not least, there we go. So you can see how that is really nicely just built up that little shape. These ones are already dry, so I will pop these aside because I'll get some glue on. Okay, right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run and go and get my kettle on, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with these sugar sprinkles. It's just another little technique whilst I'll be letting things dry, okay? So let me just go and get the kettle on. Amuse yourself for like 2 seconds. Well, that's a lie. A minute. Right, and I'm back. Did you miss me? Right, kettle's on. Time to pimp up another cookie. Okay, so we're going to go back to this one. So we'll come back to this in a sec. Leave you wee guys there so I don't actually lean in you. Okay, so we'll come back to the blue one, right? And I haven't washed my stencil because, well, I've been here the whole time. So I'm just going to line this up, okay? Over where I'd stenciled. I'm going to put something here. I've got some wafer paper. Oops. So I've got some wafer paper that I'm just going to leave there. This is because the sprinkles, they're glittery. So it tends to not just stick where you want it. It's less so if you've got glue in one place, it's going to hold firmer there. So I'm just going to grab some glue. So this is wafer paper that I put through my edible printer. It's green, so we're going to use that in some of the effects. Okay, so bring this down. I am just going to put glue on each of these little wells. Okay, get yourself a decent glue brush, or I just clean it basically because it's pretty solid from earlier. Don't be lazy like me, go and clean your brush. Right, okay, and now these, what I'm going to do is before I do anything, because you just know the sprinkles are going to go everywhere. There we go, just gently put that back. Okay, so I'm just masking off the rest of it, and now these are great, you just shake over. And then I'm going to pad them in. Okay, and what you can do is you can keep your sprinkles if you want, if you're that way inclined, that's fine. And then you need the little puffer thing. It gets rid of the wee excessy bits. And it's just so pretty. Let me just see if I can show you from the side. Like the actual sparkle on that. It's just really, really nice. And it's literally just in the leaf part. So that is another little technique you can do. And then I would go as far as to then pimp that up with a little flower, which is really, really pretty. And back it up here. I think that looks really good. Like that. Maybe that's a bit too far. Okay, I would maybe have had the A up a little bit, but you could go ahead and paint that. So basically what you could do is get some royal icing behind here. I don't actually have any in a bag, so I'm just going to use my glue. Okay. I'm going to show you how I put the little beads in there in a second as well. So these bits you can do once it's on a cookie. Okay, so that is really simple but effective. And I think that would look really, really nice. Okay, so let's move that one out the road. So that's your sprinkles. This is like a fly by the seat of my pants techniques class. So there'll be no sort of, what do you call it, theme at the end. It'll just literally be a whole collection of different leaves and things. Right, okay, so then what we'll do is, while I'll go and get the kettle in a second, for this wee one here, okay? Well, I saved that one for the painting, I think I will actually. So what I'll do is, we will get some wafer paper on this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, you can see I've got a couple of different like colours of green. Just going to cut up and freehand cut some petals. So you can do it white, you can do it whatever you want, you don't have to go green. Personally, if I was doing this, I would just be going white. So I can see all the white ends on here. So I'll keep the green for the other ones. Okay. And then I'm just going to take a couple at a time and just freehand cut some leaves. Now, you don't have to be precise here. If you want to draw them, feel free. I don't. I'm just going to freehand. Okay, and then I'll go get the kettle and then I can get my cocoa butter melting. So I'm going to be using a little bit of Colour Mill colours with the cocoa butter, just to show you what you can do. And then this one I'll cut a couple out of. Oh, so Olivia says she's got a Smart Sketcher as a toy, but it's brilliant for tracing. That's fabulous. I can't remember what mine's is called, but it's a light box thing that shines light through. So if you were trying to chase out any like lovely fine floral detail, that's what you would use. Okay, so then we need the petal pad back. We've got our Dresden tool. Okay, just spread them out. Okay, and using the sharp end of your Dresden tool, just going in. If your paper's old, like it might crack, what you can do is you can put it in a box with some water, like a plastic box, put the lid on it and it'll start to revive itself. Okay, so what I would normally do is put a little bit of royal icing down the back. However, I don't have any in a bag, so I will just go ahead and, because that edible glue can sometimes dissolve your wafer paper, so just be careful. Just run a bit up the actual stencil itself. Move that over. I just really like this little delicate detail actually. So you'll have seen this on a couple of my cakes. I love it. It just really creates a little flutter of delicateness, and it's no different. So if you do that in your cake, you can have a cookie set. So these are things that you can add on to like orders. You know, you don't have to, you can basically use elements that you're going to use in a cake to make a little bit of a difference on your cookies as well. So everything can match. So like whatever little embellishments you put on your cake as well, you can put on your cookies. So I just need some little ones for the top. And it is very warm in here. There we go. So if you get any questions, pop them in. I'm going to try and keep up. Yeah, so Nikki says the toffee tray. Yes, MD that's ever had the delight of eating toffee, it's incredible. Not only is it a beautiful sweet treat, but after you've ate them and stuffed your face, you can actually use the tray to dry your blossoms. It's awesome. So it's dual purpose. So yeah, you can use that as your excuse that you need it for your sugarcraft work. And I will believe you too. But at least it's a multi-purpose tool. You get to eat them and then you get to dry your beautiful blossoms. There we go. So that's a little fluttery paper, and so you can basically do that with your blue, your green paper too, on top of your leaves. So I might put some of the green ones in this one. However, we are going to finish off this one here. So I'm going to bring this over there. So once I've got them laid out, I'm not taking them all off again. I'm just going to go in, glue on the back. Now again, I prefer royal icing because it would just hold it in position. That was hindsight about the bag. It was on my list of things to get done. There we go. We'll get there in the end. Where there's a will, there's a way. You can always use water in the back of these as well to stick down, piping gel, a variety of mediums. You can melt down some flour paste or sugar paste and use that to glue. That's a great glue, very strong but very sticky. There we go, last but not least in there. Okay, then with these bad boys. Oh, if I could express to you how warm it is in my room, you'll see my face in a minute, it's roasting. Okay, this is very unnatural for Scotland. Do you know, I'm a bit annoyed about the weather. This is supposed to be the summer right enough, and it is rubbish weather. And yes, before MD says it, we should get used to that in Scotland, but we got a small glimmer of sunshine in May and April, and it was just enough to make us convince ourselves that we were actually going to get some decent weather for the summer, and lo and behold, they lied. Okay, almost there. Bet the anticipation is palpable. I hope you are going to enjoy this. You go in there, and then the last but not least, I'm going to go for this one here. Oh, that's nice actually. I just seen that there. Wonder if that'd be quite nice for we A thing. It might be a bit much, but what I'd have preferred to have done is had two of these ones here, one on the opposite side. I went a little bit off kilter with that one. Right, okay, so for the decoration, let me just pull these over. So I've got some of these have been dried. I'm going to pop those in there. Right, so I've got some dragées. These are little tiny balls that are fabulous. You're looking for, I think these ones are 2mm ones, or you can get 4mm, whatever it is you've got. You're just going to put a couple in the middle, and then I'm going to stick my fat finger in and just push them in to the middle where that glue was to secure them, okay? Same for this wee guy here. I just think everyone looks better with a little bit of sprinkle. Any wee spare ones can come off, the same with that patina. You can use like a little bag of piping, royal icing to make little dots as well. However, I would prefer to go a little bit up market here. Right, hang on, where is, I was looking for my blossoms. Hold the boat. We're not finished yet. I still got to doll these ones up as well. So they're all getting pimped. Like there's no any that's no getting any. For these wee ones, we're just going to put the one dot in, okay? So again, just a tiny dot of glue. It's just a wee dab and a drop in. And then I've just put the glue all over that one. But hey, we won't talk about that. We'll just pretend that I got it right. You can have 3 in there. Actually, I prefer 3 in these ones. I'm just going a bit stingy here. 3 or 4. Hey, don't count them out. Just because I'm in Scotland doesn't mean to say that's why I'm stingy. You put in as many as you like, okay? Don't listen to me. I'm going for a wee bit of elegance there. Right, okay. So then, what else are we going to do? Pimp these middle ones. I see it's because I'm trying to do too much here. I've got my other hand here. I should be actually holding that down. There we go. That's nice. Right, okay, get rid of these wee guys. Okay, so now, just going to pick this up, pop on a little bit there, push it in. Okay, we want one of these at the side. We won't have that. Where do we want that? There. So if you use royal icing, you're going to have a better job than me, because everything will stick momentarily without it sliding about like a crazy. Get a wee one. Put a wee one there. I'm not going symmetrical because like we don't always need to go symmetrical. I stole its little things. And then remember those nice little leaves. Don't know if this will just make it worse. Or if I maybe go white, I've got some white. You just pimp it up whatever way you like, but I think that looks really pretty. Okay, so that would be a lovely place setting for someone called Alan or Alexandra or Alison. Looks really, really good. Okay, so I'm going to pop that out of the way. Okay, next we will, what will we do? Right, I think we'll paint this one, okay? So I'm going to go and grab the hot water, so give me 2 seconds and I'll be back. So, to make this work, you need to get yourself some boiling water, which I have in the form of my kettle. So I'm just going to tip out the old water. If you are using cocoa butter, you have to melt the nibs with boiling water. So I've just got a wee cup here. I'm just going to pour in the boiling water. Okay, and then I've got a plate here that I was using earlier. So I'm going to pop that on top. And it's just going to melt the cocoa butter nibs, okay? So I can see I've had a little colour run. So all I'll do is just clean that up. Okay. So what I've got on here are some little cocoa butter callets. A little goes a long way. So basically I have to thank my friend Emily Hankins for coming to the studio and doing cocoa butter work. So basically, you've taught me everything I know, darling. Right, okay, so next I'm going to let these melt, and then I'm actually going to mix them in with some colour mill. Now I got this idea for doing the colour mill from our lovely ambassador Kerry. So thank you, Kerry. Kerry did some amazing painting on cookies, which you will find in the video archive on Cake Stuff. All you need to do is click on video section and it'll bring up all the sort of videos that have been done, and you'll be able to see the cookie one that the lovely Kerry did, and she used all these fabulous colour mill things. We're just going to be using green today. I was having a play about with pink and teal and lime and grey, but hey, we'll just be doing a little bit of the green, which is this one here, okay? And over here, you see I've got a pile of super white from Cake Stuff. And again, I think that was nicked from Kerry, so thank you, Kerry. I should have bought the white colour mill, but I didn't, so here we go. This is what we're going to do. Right, so now I just need the brush. Okay, so for painting something this size, I'm just going to go for a thin brush. This is like a 0.1. So with these ones, they do get a bit messy. Hold up a small squirt, just one drip is enough. So these are starting to melt, okay? So remember, if you've got boiling water in here, just be careful. But also, it does go cold. So when you find that you're getting nowhere fast, then it's time to renew your water, okay? So now I'm just going to go ahead, just let this melt a little bit, take up some of the cocoa butter, and I'm going to make a paste. So just a little bit here. I'm sure Emily will be proud of me. We're doing this. She'll be like, oh my goodness. Emily's incredible. So if anybody's looking for any painting on cake classes, Emily's your lady. Right, so now I am going to go ahead very gently and just start painting in these sides. I can add more white if I want, which I will do, so that's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and just go over there. I don't have the steadiest of hands, so if you are like me and I don't know, you've got a bit of a tremor in it, then I'm actually holding my arm further down just to give myself a little bit of a rest and stop it from jumping about like crazy. Okay, so I'm just going to put these on, and I'm going to go back over the top with a lighter colour as well and a slightly darker tone on the base. We're going for a little bit of tonal things. So the cocoa butter dries in, so it's not going to smudge, and it just gives a lovely effect as well. You can do luster, you can do like craft dust, you know, the edible ones that are mixed with the dipping solution. So you can still do that. You just don't want a lot of that liquid on your royal icing, because remember, anything wet dissolves your royal icing, while the cocoa butter will sit on top and form just a nice little seal over the top of it. So I'm not going to be adding liquid to this. Okay, so just give that. This is really rough and ropey. However, I'm well aware that you're watching. Hopefully my head's not in the way. Okay, right, so now I'm going to take that white and I'm just going to put it on one side so I can start to make that side just that little bit lighter. So we've got some tonal variation here. So it's very good for blending. So yeah, hopefully I won't make a mess of this. Last night I decided just to whip it out. Maybe Kerry would have been better doing this. Right, okay, and then that little bit of darker green in there, just so I can like shade that in. Depending on obviously the tones that you're looking for, you can go any shade you like. Okay, and blend that in a little bit. So, who is that famous painter? Was it Ball? What was his name? Michael Ball? No, not Michael Ball. I can't remember. Zoe Ball's dad. I am not him, okay? I'm clearly don't have that ability in me, but I'm doing my best here. But if you're looking for some expert teachings, then Emily is your lady. Okay, so you can see it's got a little bit of shade in there as well. I'll pop this out of the way. What I would like to do is actually pimp up the A on this. So I'm going to go for a darker green, going up to an ombre. Okay. Just so it's then finished and that's it. So I'm going to start off here. It's the wrong shade, I know. But take your time, okay? So I'm going to paint this in. Right, it's for somebody that's got a shaky hand. I'm in dangerous, dangerous territory. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm not talking because I'm concentrating. That's how bad it is. So yes, when I am really concentrating, at least I don't put my tongue out, but I do stop talking. Okay, don't go messy, Susie. Blend in here. This bit is dangerous because it's so thin. You can take your time at home, no bother at all. Don't be doing what I'm doing. Shaky hand, oops. There we go, that's quite nice. Right, and a wee bit of the white from the top end to make that lighter. Oh, see how I just went off piece there? Now, if this was, there we go, back in the game. There we go, that's really pretty actually. That's really nice. Right, I'm going to drop this over this side, and I think I've done the whole whirlwind tour of pimping up your cookies. Alright, so I'm going to come back to the front. Whew, I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm roasting. I'm absolutely boiling in here. All the concentration there. I hope you've enjoyed that. I'm going to pull them all out onto the table so you can see what we've got here. See what we did, and you can go back and have a little look. Over. What else have we got here? Let me just bring that over a wee bit. Right. Do we do any other ones? Nope. Right, let me just come from above. There we go. So that is our little whirlwind cookie stencil extravaganza. There we go. Hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope that you use some of these ideas and techniques. Oh, we did have one more, this one, which is really nice. We cannot forget this bad boy that's coming in. Let me at you. There we go. Now that one I really like. There's something about the blue with that stencil I absolutely adore. So I hope you've enjoyed that. You can let me know. I know it's an easy tutorial today, but I thought it was some fun, a sort of entry level, something that you can actually do with the kids as well. They could be cutting out those little fondant leaves, they could be cutting out the wafer paper. I would suggest a steady hand for the painting, but you could really go to town with the sprinkles and the glitter and the painting. If you're good at painting, go for it. So I'm just going to have a quick look at the comments. Give me 2 secs. Let me just see. So Lisa says, what are the sprinkles, please? So these are sugar sprinkles. So they've got a lot of shine in them. They're really, really nice. They were left here by my good friend Lisa Sheng, which I bet she's wondering where they went. So they went in my drawer and I was just using, but you can get these in cake stuff. So thanks Lisa for that. They are edible. These are all edible. If you're ever in doubt, all you need to do is check the descriptions on cake stuff. They will tell you if anything's edible or non-toxic. So always just double check everything. So just to be clear, everything that goes on a cookie or everything that goes in a cupcake must be edible, like fully edible. No wires, no cocktail sticks, no nothing. Because imagine you're giving them all out. You have to be sure that everybody knows that there's a wire in it or a cocktail stick or whatever, so you would never put it on. It's slightly different when you're doing wedding cakes because we often write, there's a consultation form that goes to the venue to say remove all flowers, they're on wires, they're decoration only, please don't eat. So things like that you can get away with using the non-toxic stuff. However, everything that you put on to cakes, like in the form of cupcakes, cookies, sweet treats, everything must be fully edible. And that's just the rules, that's the way it goes. Let me just see. Somebody was asking about those sprinkles. Yeah, they're really, really good. And so Bev says that these are called Victorinox scissors. These are amazing. I got these years ago. They're for haberdashery. Now there's a word we don't use often, but they've come in so handy in the cake business. I love them. Hi Danny, how are you doing? Oh, Olivia says South Wales, it's raining. Beth says it's sunny in Gloucestershire. Well done. We are not jealous in the slightest. Hi Laura, how are you doing? And she says late as usual. No, you're not. You're fine. So Cameron has posted up links to all of the things I've used today, from the colour mill to the sprinkles to the couture that we've used. Royal Icing with Squire's Kitchen. I just used Squire's Kitchen flour paste because I've got it open, but you could use Eleganza modelling paste, no problem at all. We're not putting wires in anything, so it's all good. We used the old school plunger cutters and Blossom Sugar Art cutters and veiners, which are fabulous and you will have in your kit somewhere. So they'll be up as well. What else did we use? Wafer paper and edible glue and some sprinkles and the whitener. Now this is really, really good because you don't just use it for your royal icing, but you can use it for cocoa butter painting as well. And those colour mills are fab for that painting. I just wish I was a little bit more proficient at the old painting on things, but hey, I will learn it and I will get there eventually. Right, okay. Let me see, I'm just going to scoot down to the bottom. Oh, that's really nice. Somebody saying thank you, lots of lovely ideas, fabulous stencil too. Thank you very much. Of course, forgot to say you can get the stencil, it's in the shop. Judy says thanks, great as usual. Fantastic, Suzanne says Selena. Barbara says thank you Suzanne, beautiful as always. Thank you very much. Sanya says hi Susie, thanks for the tutorial. Wanted to ask, do you use pre-made royal icing like Squire's Kitchen or Tate and Lyle, or do you make your own? So I use what I've got. Normally I'll buy the Squire's Kitchen. I think it's a 2.5 kilo bag, and that does me a lot. But it's a powder, so it's not already in that liquidy form. And I just make it up according to the instructions. However, if I was in a total pinch and I couldn't get my online orders, Tate and Lyle is absolutely fine. What I do is I don't add in as much water as it tells you to. I would go a little bit more stingy with the water, and then you can always add more because you can't take it away. You just have to keep adding more and more powder. Monique says love it. Leslie says I need to go and put some wardrobes together, catch up later. Enjoy yourself. So there we go. Johnny Ball, that was who it was. I couldn't remember who Zoe Ball's dad was. Oh, lovely. Thank you so much. Right, so just to remind you, a couple of weeks ago I did a free tutorial in here for the peonies, and I promised that there would be a pro video, and I finally recorded it. It took a long time, but it's now available for your pleasure. And you can you can basically, you don't download it, but you can download the step-by-step PDF tutorial, and it's got, you'll be able to use that as a companion when you're making these. You get the full length one, so you get the foliage and the calyx as well. We do not stop just at the petals in that one. But also, you'll be invited along to my next live, which is in my own Facebook group, which you'd be more than welcome to join. And Cameron will post up a wee link there as well. You can sign up for that 100% free, and it just gives you a chance to sample my night skill. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If I've missed any questions, I'll have a look through and I'll try and answer. Now, I know it was pretty simple, but I hope you've got something out of that and some ideas of what you can use that stencil for. If any of you have already bought Meadow Breeze, this might actually give you some extra things that you can put along in a package if you're going to be starting your weddings back, or any celebration cakes, or beautiful birthdays with that lovely monogram on there. Alright, so thanks once again, and I'm not sure who's up next because there was quite a few this week. We had Danny from Blue Door Bakery. If you didn't see that one, that was the wafer paper. You can go back and watch that. And also we had Kerry as well. So she was on doing a drip cake. You can just go back. If any time you can't find anything, you go to the search bar, and it's on the navigation bar down the side on a computer or along the top on your phone. You're looking for videos. You cannot actually type in videos into the search bar, and you'll see them all there, and they're all listed as well. So go back and watch them. Go back and watch Kerry's painting on cookies ones. I need to go back and watch it because I actually need some tricks and tips. So yeah, if you've ever need anything on your go, and have a wee look there. And we'll see you again soon. So take care. Bye.